I like that music. Well, so I have the dubious distinction of being the after-lunch speaker. Everyone's full and happy, and they've had some time to relax, but I don't want you to get too relaxed because we have some important things to talk about. So I'm going to start out by assuming that everyone's here today because they came for one of two reasons, and perhaps both reasons. The reason why we're all here today is because we think we're going to learn something important, or we're going to learn something that's relevant to our lives and to our businesses. And hopefully it's important and relevant. So today I want to talk a little bit about trust, because I think it's something that's extremely important and extremely relevant to our businesses today. So let's talk about that, and we'll talk about it at a number of different levels. So we all use the word trust. It's one of our favorite five-letter words, and we kind of use it a lot of times in a somewhat cavalier way. Oh, you know, you hear about trust, and you talk about trust, and we have trust in our personal relationships, and our customers trust us, and so let's dig down a little bit today and find out what are we really talking about, and is it important, and is it relevant? So a little bit about my background. You can just read that in the program here. But over the years, as a military officer and as a CEO of a half a dozen or so different public and private companies, I can look back in my career and realize that I didn't really put as much stock in the whole issue of trust as I should have. And it's become more and more of a critical component to what I do with Vistage and the way Vistage operates, and also in our personal relationships and friendships. I meet a lot of people a lot of the time as I travel around, and it's become more and more important. So the question becomes, okay, well, what exactly are we talking about? You know, the dictionary definition of trust is pretty straightforward. Jack Welch has his own definition of it. It really is something that I think we want to focus today a little bit on, the fact that it's the degree of confidence that's born of the character and the competence of a person or an organization. So with that as kind of the threshold, let's dig down a little bit deeper on that. So today I want to talk about it in sort of 5 different contexts. The first context being your own personal trust, you as an individual, and the kind of relationships and the kind of way you conduct yourself and the way you handle yourself that either destroys or builds trust. We all interact together. We have little 30-second encounters like I just did with Tia, as I did at lunch, and we have these moments where we can quickly inspire a sense of trust. On the other hand, sometimes it takes a long time to develop trust. The fact of the matter is, trust is something, especially in the business world, but trust environments where there's low trust, everything tends to slow down. We call it a trust tax. If you think about that for a second in your own companies or companies that you've been a part of, when there's distrust in the organization, a lot of people are spending their time looking over their shoulder. They're asking questions like, well, I wonder what's really going on here. Wonder what the real story is behind that. It also then causes costs to go up, because as things slow down, they take longer. And in a world where there's so much speed of change, that speed can be counteracted by low trust environments. On the other hand, the opposite is also true. If you think about relationships that you have, if you think about relationships with customers, with employees, with partners, with spouses, when there's a high trust relationship in place, meaning you don't have to be looking over your back, you can almost finish one another's thoughts, you don't associate bad intentions to a comment or an act on the part of another person, things move faster. When things move faster, costs go down. One of the biggest problems in small business world today, and as well as large business world, is turnover. Turnover is largely a fact of life in low trust environments. And think how much it costs to experience high degrees of turnover in your company. Because for some reason, the trust promise was broken. So self-trust is all about you as individuals, as all of us individually. And this is probably the most important slide today. Your competence and your character is directly responsible for the degree of trust that people feel in you. Character is not so well seen. It's like the roots of a tree. Your character is a function of your intentions and your integrity. Your competence is measured by how do you perform, what kind of results do you get. Think about that. How do you perform and what kind of results do you get? Whether you're in sales, I really enjoyed Steve's presentation earlier because he showed by the way he acted towards people that he cared. That's how he gets the results that he does. So he's probably pretty trusted by the people that he does business with. So integrity, these are some other synonyms for these terms, but how consistent are you? You know, what kind of respect do you command? And your behaviors, your agendas, your motives, those are the things that say, well, this is what that person's all about. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said something, but you know that person so well, and you say to yourself, you know, that didn't sound right, but I know that person. I know that they didn't mean it that way. If you have a trust relationship, people will give you the benefit of the doubt, even if you're having a bad day. Your capabilities, you know, basically your talents, the attitudes, the skills, knowledge, and style that you bring to a situation, and ultimately, what do you get done? What do you accomplish? How meaningful is it? If you score high in those areas, you're going to be a person of trust. If you don't, you won't. It's pretty straightforward. This then leads from our own self-trust and who we are as an individual to the people around us and the relationships that we have. And you're not going to have time to write all this down. We can make it available to you, but here are 13 different behaviors that people tend to engage in that build trust. And we can talk about any particular one of 2 or 3 or 4 of these, although we don't have the time really to do so today. But those are the kind of things that occur in high trust environments and with people and individuals who are trustworthy. Conversely, there are a lot of counterfeit trust behaviors that destroy trust, that diminish your ability to influence for good, that diminish your ability to lead, that diminish your ability to convince a customer to choose you over someone else. Some people don't even realize when they're engaging in these behaviors how destructive they're being to their own cause. You probably, if you gave it some thought, could think of situations that you've been in the past where you've run into people who practice these kinds of behaviors. And when they do, you have a natural reaction to back away. You don't lean in. You back away, you're not sure, things slow down, things get expensive. Think about that. Think about relationships that you've had where that's been the case. Sometimes I would go home at the end of the day and I'm saying, you know, I'm just dragged out. I'm just so tired of fighting the battle. You know, distrust is debilitating. On the other hand, if you work in a trusting environment with people that you know and respect, who respect you, you're enlivened by that. You're energized by that. You are motivated by that. It inspires and it just lifts you up as opposed to pulling you down. Then people talk about, well, you know, you just can't trust everybody. And I say, you're right. So we have this little smart trust matrix where we talk about the fact that, you know, you can overanalyze things or you have a natural tendency to trust. And together, that represents the use of good judgment when awarding trust or bestowing trust on others. If you tend to be overly analytical and low inclined to naturally trust, you're going to be a suspicious person. If you're out there running around assuming the world's never going to take advantage of you or treat you badly, you're going to be hurt. You're going to be fairly gullible. So you have to blend this natural inclination to want to trust with some thoughtful time to consider what exactly am I seeing here? What are the behaviors that I'm seeing, and how do they stack up? So sometimes we lose trust. Sometimes we made a mistake. We said something, did something. It wasn't so great. And so there are three different ways of trying to work back up in your trust index. And it's all predicated on the nature of the loss of trust, how important that relationship is to you, and how willing are the two individuals or the two parties to go forward and try and make it better, to improve it, get back where you were. And when others have lost your trust, you lost faith in someone else, an employee, a subordinate, partner, spouse, my suggestion is, first of all, don't be too quick to judge. Think about it. Know what you're talking about. And be inclined to forgive. My wife has the 2-strike rule. No one gets 3 strikes with her, but she does have 2 strikes. I know some people, it's a 1-strike rule. She probably gets along real well with them. But be smart about it. Don't overthink it. Just listen, learn, watch, observe, but be inclined to be positive. And if you've lost the trust of others, go back to the first 4. Your own competence, your own capability, and your own credibility, and your own ability to perform, and the issues that are around competence and character. Apologize. It's amazing how someone that you've offended all of a sudden can be brought to a good place by you simply sitting down and saying, you know what, I am truly sorry. And I really, really value our relationship, and I've taken it to a bad place, and I don't want to be there with you. And I want you to forgive me. And then do what you can to make amends actively. Organizational trust is another component to all small businesses today. It's proven that high trust organizations have higher return on investment for shareholders. It's been studied by Watson Wyatt and lots of other people. Nordstrom's one of the most trusted companies out there. You can probably all think of companies that you trust. Panera, Apple, Google, whatever. Why do you trust them? In Nordstrom's case, they have one empowering rule for their employees. Use good judgment in all situations. That's an expression of trust for their employees. It's an empowerment. Here are some of the symbols of low trust in our society today. I can remember it wasn't that long ago that you could just get on a plane. Good luck with that today. Then it comes the whole issue of market trust. How well known and how well trusted is your brand in the market, and what are you doing to build trust in your brand in the market? You all have favorite brands that you like and that you trust. The question is, why do you trust them? What about that product, that Apple product or that Google product or that Starbucks cup of coffee or whatever, draws you to it? Sometimes very passionately. Well, things have changed in the marketplace, in case no one's noticed. It's the 21st century today. People are far more aggressive, far more in tune, far more communicative, far more active in expressing delight or dismay with a product or service that they're buying. You make a mistake as a supplier, and people are going to know about it very, very quickly. And Cindy talked about social media, and we heard a lot about that today. It's true. You're making your reputation every day in the market by how you handle situations, how your product performs, how your service is rendered, how your people respond on the phone or to the inputs of the social media world. And lastly, societal trust is something that's really, really become a big thing, a big discussion item. Much different from the 20th century today. Consumers are far more socially conscious. And socially conscious companies tend to outperform non-socially conscious or socially responsible companies. This is a study from Fortune magazine. One example, small company, fairly small, New Leaf Paper. Just by being a little more conscious about the world in which they live, here are some of the savings this one small company experienced. And if you don't think that that was something that their customers noticed, think again. People respect companies who have a social consciousness component to their presence in the marketplace. All around the world, not just the United States. Look at 85% in North America refuse to buy products or use services that have low corporate social responsibility. Latin America, they actively demonstrate against them. So as a company, as a CEO, as a small business owner, as a public figure, however you're interacting in the greater market and in society, the 4 core values that I talked about are still extremely relevant. How are your values as a company related to society? What do you intend to do on an ongoing basis to help make the world a better place? It all adds to your own corporate and personal level of trust when you take these things seriously. So in addition to all the wonderful things you've learned today, think about trust. Think about how it affects you personally, how it affects your company in the marketplace, because I can tell you, if you're trusted in the marketplace, you're far more likely to succeed and feel good about it than if you just have no sense of it, no follow-up, and you behave in a way that causes people not to want to do business with you. It's vitally important, personally and as small business owners. Think about it. Thank you.